The night was colder than usual. The broken houses of the ruined settlement stood like silent ghosts. Their windows were empty holes, their walls cracked and weak. The wind moved through them and made a sound like a whisper. The human, named Elias, pulled his coat tighter around his body. He had walked many miles that day, searching for food, for something that could keep him alive another night. He found a corner where the wall still stood strong enough to block the wind. With tired hands, he built a small fire. He had only a few pieces of wood left, but he needed the warmth. The fire crackled and sent a little orange light into the darkness. Elias held his hands close to the flame, breathing in the small comfort it gave him. The smell of smoke filled the cold air. In the distance, he thought he heard movement. At first, he told himself it was only the wind, but then he heard it again. Soft footsteps, slow, cautious, like someone was afraid to be heard. Elias froze. His hand reached for the rusty metal pipe he carried for defense. His heart beat faster. He had seen thieves before, and he had seen worse things too. From the shadows, a figure appeared. At first, Elias thought it was another human, but as the figure stepped into the weak firelight, he realized it was not. It was a girl, not much older than 20. Her skin had a faint glow, like silver dust touched by moonlight. Strange markings ran along her arms and neck, glowing faintly as if alive. Her eyes were larger than his, deep and shining like liquid glass. She looked tired, cold, and frightened. Elias gripped the pipe tighter. "Stay back," he warned. His voice was rough from silence. The girl stopped and lifted her hands slowly, showing she carried no weapon. She did not speak at once. She only looked at the fire with desperate longing. Her body shook as if every breath was painful. The human studied her for a long moment. She was not like the soldiers he had seen in the cities. Not armored, not cruel. She looked weak, maybe even starving. Something inside him softened against his will slowly. Elias lowered the pipe but did not drop it. "Are you following me?" he asked. His words came out sharp. The alien girl shook her head, her lips moved, but no sound came at first. Then, with effort, she whispered, "Cold." Her voice was soft, cracked, and broken like a branch under weight. Elias looked at her again. He felt the fire's warmth on his face and thought of her shivering in the darkness. A battle started inside him. Part of him said he should send her away. She could be dangerous. She could be leading others to him. But another part of him, the part that had not yet turned to stone after so much loss, said he could not ignore her. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small tin cup. He poured some water and placed it over the fire. Slowly, carefully, he added dried leaves, his last bit of tea. The steam rose, and soon the air carried a gentle smell. Something soft, something human. The alien girl's eyes widened at the sight. Her lips trembled. She stepped closer, though still cautious. When the tea was ready, Elias poured it into the cup and held it out to her. For a long moment, she did not move. She only stared at his hand, at the rising steam. Her fingers shook as she finally reached out and took it. The warmth seemed to surprise her. She lifted the cup to her lips and sipped carefully. The glow on her markings brightened just a little, like the tea had touched something deep inside her. Elias watched her in silence. He felt strange, as if he had just crossed a line he could not step back from. It was only a cup of tea, yet it felt like more. The girl lowered the cup and looked at him. Her eyes shimmered with something he could not name. Gratitude, maybe, or something else. Something heavier. For the first time she spoke more clearly, her voice carried a secret weight. "You don't know," she said softly, "what this means." Elias frowned. He wanted to ask what she meant, but before he could, she leaned closer to the fire. Her eyes never left his, her lips parted, and in a whisper almost lost in the crackle of flames, she began to speak, and in that moment Elias realized the night was no longer only cold. It was dangerous. Something had changed, and nothing would ever be the same again. The fire burned low, its glow throwing long shadows across the broken wall. Elias sat close. his eyes never leaving the alien girl. She cradled the small cup of tea in both hands as if it were treasure. Every sip seemed to give her strength, and every moment of silence between them stretched heavy. Elias shifted uncomfortably. He was not used to company, not used to trust. He cleared his throat and finally asked, "What do you mean?" His voice was rough, carrying both suspicion and curiosity. The girl raised her eyes to him. Her gaze was strange, too deep, too knowing, like she was carrying something heavy inside. "You gave me fire," she said softly. "You gave me warmth." Her words shook, slightly, but there was a hidden edge to them. "You gave me tea." Elias frowned. He did not understand. It was only tea, only heat. But the way she said it made his chest feel tight. "And," he asked slowly, "why does that matter so much to you?" Her hands tightened on the cup. She looked around as if the darkness itself was listening. The ruins creaked in the wind, and far away, a distant hum carried across the night. Elias stiffened. He knew that sound. A patrol ship, low in the sky, searching. The girl's voice dropped lower, her whisper almost lost in the crackle of fire. "Because," she said, "those who show kindness to me will never be forgotten." Elias's grip tightened on the pipe beside him. He leaned closer. "Who are you?" His voice was sharp, but inside fear and curiosity fought against each other. She hesitated. Her glowing markings flickered faintly. Her breath shook as she whispered, "I am hunted." Her eyes dropped to the tea. "I should not even be here." Elias stared at her. "Hunted," he repeated. The word tasted bitter. He had seen enough soldiers to know what hunted meant. "And you brought them to me." His voice grew hard. Her head snapped up quickly, fear in her eyes. "No," she whispered. "I tried to stay away. I tried to hide. But—" She looked at the cup, her lips trembling. "When I saw the fire, I could not resist." Elias sat back. His mind raced. If she was being chased, then the soldiers could come at any time. He should send her away. He should walk before it was too late. Yet something inside him would not let go. He saw her shaking hands, her tired face, her quiet desperation. "Why are they after you?" he asked finally. She closed her eyes. Her voice was a thread, fragile, thin. "Because of what I carry." She touched the glowing lines on her skin. "Because of what I am." She opened her eyes again, meeting his. "And now, because you gave me warmth, you are part of this too." The words hit him like a stone. Elias's jaw tightened. He wanted to curse her, to push her away, but her eyes held him still. He saw no malice in them, only fear. The fire crackled between them, filling the silence. Then she leaned closer, her whisper softer, more urgent. "But I can offer you something." Elias narrowed his eyes. "Offer me?" he repeated. His tone was almost mocking. "You come here, bring danger with you, and now you offer me something." Her lips curved into the faintest, saddest smile. "Not danger," she whispered. "A choice." The wind pushed through, the ruins making the fire dance. Her words hung in the air like a spell. Elias felt his chest tighten again. He hated choices. He had spent so long surviving, not choosing, not hoping. But something in her voice stirred something buried deep. "What choice?" he asked at last. Her fingers traced the cup, steam rising into the night. "If you protect me," she whispered, "if you stand with me, you will never be alone again." Elias blinked. The words made no sense. He wanted to laugh at them, but her face was so serious, so fragile and true. He felt the weight of them press into him. "You don't know me," he said harshly. "You don't know what I've lost." Her voice softened, almost breaking. "I know loss," she whispered. "I know it too well." Her eyes glimmered in the firelight. "But I also know what I can give." She leaned closer, her breath almost mixing with the smoke. "A family." The word struck him harder than he expected. Elias looked away. His throat felt tight. He did not want to feel anything. He did not want hope. Hope was dangerous. Hope was cruel. Yet her whisper would not leave his ears. Suddenly, the distant hum of the patrol ship grew louder. Elias froze. The alien girl gripped the cup tighter. Her markings flared brighter like stars beneath her skin. She whispered quickly, urgently, "They are coming." Elias grabbed his pipe. His heart hammered in his chest. He looked at her, still trembling, still holding his last cup of tea, and he realized the night was no longer only about survival. It was about a decision he was not ready to make. Her whisper hung in the cold air like a shadow. A family, a promise, an offer no human could refuse. And in that moment, Elias understood that his life had already begun to change, whether he wanted it or not. The patrol ship's hum slowly faded into the distance. Elias sat frozen near the fire, his hand still gripping the metal pipe. His heart pounded hard, his eyes locked on the alien girl who sat only a few feet away. The glow of her strange markings had dimmed again, leaving her looking fragile, almost human in her weakness. The silence pressed heavy. Elias breathed out slowly. "You brought danger to me," he muttered. His voice was sharp, bitter. "They're looking for you. If they find me with you, I'll be dead before I can take another breath." The girl lowered her head. Her silver hair fell across her face. "I know," she whispered. "That is the price of what I am." She held the cup close to her chest as if it were a shield. "But you gave me tea, you gave me warmth, you cannot take it back." Elias's jaw tightened. He wanted to argue. He wanted to shout at her to leave. But something inside him would not move. The firelight showed the trembling of her hands, the shallow rise of her chest as if every breath was a fight. She was no soldier, no hunter, no threat in her own strength. She was something else, someone who carried a weight that was crushing her. "You should go," Elias said harshly. His words were meant to push her away, but they sounded hollow, even to him. "Find someone else, another fool, I can't risk this." The girl raised her eyes slowly, and when she looked at him, Elias felt a strange pull in his chest. Her eyes glimmered with tears she refused to let fall. "If I leave now," she whispered, "they will catch me, and then they will know you gave me fire." The words hit him like ice water. Elias cursed under his breath. She was right. If the soldiers caught her, she would not only suffer, but she would speak his name under torture. His act of kindness had already bound him to her fate. For the first time in months, Elias felt anger that was not aimed at the empty world around him. It was aimed at himself, at his own foolishness. "I should have let you freeze," he spat, though his voice shook. "I should have turned away." But even as he said it, his chest ached. He remembered the way she had held the cup, the way her markings glowed brighter with every sip. It had been so long since Elias had seen gratitude, so long since anyone had looked at him with hope. "Chitiwan." Girl shifted closer to the fire, her voice soft. "You did not let me freeze because you are not like them." She touched the lines on her arm, the faint glow pulsing gently. "You still remember how to be human." Her words cut deep. Elias looked at the ruined buildings, the empty streets, the dead silence of the world he lived in. For years, survival had made him hard, but her whisper reminded him of the man he once was. Before loss turned his heart into stone, he ran a hand over his tired face. "What do you want from me?" he asked finally. His voice was lower now, less anger and more exhaustion. The girl placed the cup gently on the ground. Her fingers trembled as she folded them together. "I need to reach the mountains," she whispered. "Beyond them there are others of my kind. They are hidden, waiting. If I can reach them, I will be safe. But I cannot make the journey alone." Elias's stomach tightened. The mountains were weeks away through lands crawling with patrols and raiders. A journey like that was almost suicide. "You want me to die for you," he said coldly. Her gaze did not waver. Her voice steadied, though her hand still shook. "I want you to live with me," she whispered, "not die with me. You will have more than survival. You will have a purpose again. Elias felt his throat tighten. He hated her words because they struck too close to his buried pain. He had lost everything: family, friends, even the will to hope. And now, here, was this fragile alien girl offering him something more dangerous than death? She was offering him meaning. The fire popped, sending sparks into the cold night. Elias stared at the flames as his mind turned. He had always believed kindness was a weakness, yet, in this ruined world, his single act of kindness had chained him to her. He realized there was no undoing it now. "You don't understand," Elias said, his voice hoarse. "I've seen what they do. I've seen men burned alive, women dragged into chains. I've seen children—" His voice broke. He looked away, anger and grief twisting inside him. The girl's eyes softened. "I understand," she whispered. "I have seen worse. I have lived it. That is why I need you." She leaned forward, her voice trembling but filled with quiet. "Fire. One cup of tea tied our fates together. Do not pretend it didn't." Elias stared at her, his heart pounding. He wanted to refuse, to push her away. But deep inside, he knew she was right. The price of kindness had already been paid. He had already crossed the line the moment he handed her the cup. The night stretched long, the fire burned lower. Elias sat in silence, torn between fear and the fragile pull of hope. The alien girl closed her eyes, exhaustion finally taking her. She leaned against the wall, still clutching the warmth in her chest, and Elias sat watching her, knowing that tomorrow he would have to choose, run and abandon her, or walk a path that could destroy him. Either way, the price of kindness was already his to pay. The night gave way to a pale gray dawn. The ruined settlement lay silent, roofs broken, streets filled with dust and forgotten things. Elias stirred the fire back to life with shaking hands. His eyes wandered to the alien girl who still rested against the wall. She had slept little, her body trembling even in dreams. Her silver markings dimmed and glowed faintly with every shallow breath. Elias sighed. He should have left before the morning light. He should have walked away while she slept, yet he sat there, waiting, as if a chain had been wrapped around his chest. Her whisper from the night before still haunted him. A family. The word felt like a blade, and a promise all at once. When her eyes finally opened, they caught the faint firelight. Her gaze locked on him, silent but searching. For a moment neither spoke, then she whispered, "You stayed." Elias looked away quickly. "Didn't know where else to go," he muttered, but he knew it was a lie. He could have left, but he hadn't. Something tied him here, something he could not cut loose. The girl shifted, trying to rise. Her legs shook under her weight. Elias almost reached out to steady her, but stopped himself. Still he watched her carefully, ready in case she fell. She managed to stand, her hands pressed. Against the cracked wall, her breath came fast, her eyes closing as if she carried a heavy pain inside. "You are not strong enough to walk to the mountains," Elias said finally. His voice was cold, but the concern behind it slipped through. "You'll die halfway there." Her lips curved into a faint, bitter smile. "That is why I need you," she whispered. Her voice was soft but steady now. "Alone, I will fall. With you, I might live." Elias felt anger stir inside. Anger at her words. Anger at himself for listening. "Why me?" he demanded. "Why not someone else, anyone else?" She lowered her head. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "Because I saw you." She lifted her eyes again, glowing faintly. "I saw the way you lit the fire, the way you gave me warmth without knowing who I was. You are not like them. You are not broken completely." Her words cut through him. Elias wanted to deny it, to shut her out. But her gaze held him still, and for the first time in years, he felt seen, not as a shadow of a man, but as something more. The silence stretched long. Then Elias finally asked, "Who are you really?" Her markings flared softly. She touched her chest, just above her heart. "My name is Leora," she whispered. I was born to a line that no longer exists. My family was hunted, destroyed. I am the last. Her voice cracked. They want me because I carry what they fear and what they desire. Elias frowned. And what's that? Her gaze held his, steady despite the tremble in her hands. A bond, she whispered. A bond older than stars. Something my people once gave freely but was twisted into chains. If I choose, I can share it. If I trust, I can give it. And once it is given, it cannot be broken. Elias felt a chill run through him. Why tell me this? He asked. Because, Leora whispered. Last night when you gave me tea, I felt the bond stir. I felt it reaching for you. It chose before I could stop it. Elias's stomach tightened. He stepped back slightly. No, he muttered. I didn't agree to this. I didn't ask for it. Leora's eyes filled with pain. I know, she whispered. That is why I tried not to speak. But it is already there. A thread between us. I feel it. Do you not? Elias wanted to deny it, but his chest betrayed him. Deep inside, beneath the layers of anger and grief, he felt something. A faint warmth that had not been there before. A quiet pull toward her. He clenched his fists, trying to crush the feeling. You've tied me to your curse, he growled. You've dragged me into your fight. Leora shook her head weakly. No, Elias, I did not drag you. Your kindness called it. Your heart pulled it. The bond is not a curse. It is life. It is survival. It is family. The word again, family. It twisted inside him like a knife. He remembered faces he had lost, the laughter that had vanished, the silence that followed. He had buried the idea of family long ago, yet here she was, whispering it back into his heart. Elias turned away. His breath came rough and uneven. He wanted to walk into the ruins, to leave her behind, but his feet would not move. He felt the invisible thread pulling him back to her. Leora's voice broke the silence again, soft and trembling. You can still walk away, but if you do, the bond will fade into pain for both of us, and they will find me. They will break me, and then they will come for you because of what you gave. Elias closed his eyes. His chest ached with the weight of her words. He hated her for binding him without asking, and yet he hated himself more for not being able to walk away. The wind pushed through the ruins, carrying the faint echo of engines. In the distance, Leora's eyes turned to the sound, fear flashing across her face. They are closer, she whispered. Elias opened his eyes. His grip tightened on the pipe. He looked at her, fragile yet unbroken, and he realized that whatever bond she spoke of, it was already inside him. He had felt it the moment he offered her tea. The choice was gone. The bond was real, and Elias knew his life was no longer his own. The morning sky grew darker instead of brighter. Heavy clouds rolled over the ruins like a shroud. The air carried a low rumble, not thunder, but engines. Elias stood still, his pipe tight in his hand. Leora's eyes flickered with fear, her glowing markings dim as if trying to hide themselves. They are here, she whispered. Her voice was sharp with panic. She turned her face toward the sound, and Elias felt her body tremble even though she stood strong. He cursed under his breath. How do they track you? He asked. His words came quick and low. They follow the pulse, she said, touching the faint glow on her arm. They can feel what I carry even from far away. The closer they come, the stronger the pull. Elias felt his chest tighten. He realized the fire had betrayed them too. The smoke rising through the broken roofs was like a beacon in the gray sky. He kicked dirt over the flames, smothering the light. Ash and smoke stung his eyes as the fire died into black. For a moment, silence, then footsteps, heavy, metallic, too steady to be scavengers. Elias pushed Leora back against the cracked wall, his voice a harsh whisper. Stay down. The ruins came alive with sound. Soldiers moved between broken houses, their boots grinding on the stones, their voices carried, low and commanding. One barked orders. Another scanned with a humming device that gave off a faint blue glow. Elias's throat went dry. He had seen that glow before. It could taste the air, searching for the bond. Leora's eyes widened, her breathing fast. She clutched her arms as if holding the glow back inside her body. Elias pressed himself close to the wall, listening. Every footstep grew closer, every sound louder. His heart pounded like a drum inside his chest. A soldier's shadow stretched across the rubble just a few steps away. Elias gripped the pipe until his knuckles turned white. He imagined swinging it. Imagined the crash of metal against armor, but he knew it would only bring more soldiers. They were surrounded, trapped in silence. Leora looked at him, her lips trembling. She whispered without sound, "Go." Her eyes begged him to run, to leave her. But Elias shook his head slowly, his jaw tight, his grip firm. He would not abandon her, not now, not after everything. The humming device stopped. A soldier's voice called, "The signal is close," another replied. "Check the eastern wall, they're here somewhere." Elias pulled Leora's arm, dragging her low across the dust. They slipped into the narrow crack between two collapsed walls. The stones scraped. His hands, the air thick with dust. He pushed her ahead of him, whispering harshly, "Move!" They crawled through the shadows, the sound of boots striking harder behind them. Leora's breath was sharp and uneven. Her glowing markings pulsed brighter the more fear filled her chest. Elias grabbed her wrist, squeezing tight. "Control it," he hissed. Her eyes squeezed, shut as she fought to dim the light. The soldiers spread out, metal scraping as they moved. One soldier's voice carried louder. "The signal is stronger here." The humming device beeped in rhythm with Elias's heartbeat. He pulled Leora behind a broken cart, pressing her into the dirt. His body shielded hers. Sweat rolled down his face despite the cold air. He could hear them, too close, too near. If one of them bent low, if one of them turned his head, they would see. A soldier stopped just a few feet away. His boots ground against stones. He raised the scanner high. The blue glow passed across the cart. Elias held his breath. His muscles screamed from the stillness. His pipe was ready, but his heart prayed he would not need to swing it. The glow paused. The device beeped faster. Elias's stomach dropped. Leora clutched her chest. Her lips trembled. He knew she was losing control. The bond inside her pressing to reveal itself. Elias's mind raced. He needed to distract them. He grabbed a small stone from the ground and flicked it with all his strength. It clattered far across the ruins, the sound echoed. The soldiers snapped their heads toward it, one barked, "Over there!" And several moved quickly toward the noise. The beeping slowed as the glow passed away. Elias exhaled slowly, his chest burning from the held breath. Leora pressed her forehead against his shoulder, whispering a soundless thanks. But it was not over. More voices came from the street. The hum of another patrol ship shook the air. The hunt was tightening. Elias knew they could not hide forever. The ruins would soon be searched corner to corner. He grabbed Leora's hand, pulling her to her feet. His voice was sharp but steady. "We can't stay here. We move." She stumbled. Beside him, her legs weak but her eyes determined. Together they darted through the shadows. Every step a gamble, every corner a risk. The ruins felt like a maze of death. Behind them, soldiers shouted. The hunt was alive, closer with every heartbeat. Elias knew the truth now. There was no turning back, no escape without her. The bond had tied their fates, and the hunt would only end if they ran together. And so, in the ashes of a ruined world, the chase began. The ruins fell behind them as Elias pulled Leora into the shelter of a collapsed tunnel. His chest heaved with every breath, sweat dripped down his forehead though the air was cold. Behind them, the voices of the soldiers echoed, shouts bouncing off stone walls. The hunt had not stopped. It had only shifted. Leora leaned against the wall, her body trembling. Her markings glowed faintly as if they were fighting to stay hidden. Elias crouched low, pipe still in his grip. He listened for every sound, every step, every hum of the machines. His heart raced like a drum. For a moment, silence. Only their ragged breathing filled the air. Elias turned to her sharply. "You're slowing us down." His voice was rough, more anger than truth. "If we keep this pace, they'll catch us by nightfall." Her lips trembled. She closed her eyes, whispering, "I know." She pressed her hand against her chest. "The bond. It weakens me when I try to fight it alone." Elias clenched his jaw. His mind screamed for him to leave her, to run while he had the chance. Yet when he looked at her, fragile, desperate, eyes filled with a light she was struggling to keep alive, he felt the pull again. That invisible thread between them tightened. "You keep talking about this bond," he muttered bitterly, "but all I see is death chasing us." Leora lifted her eyes slowly. Her voice cracked, but carried a quiet strength. "Death was already chasing you, Elias," she whispered. "You just didn't see it. You were surviving, but you were already gone." Her words cut deeper than he wanted to admit. He felt anger rising, not at her, but at himself, because she was right. For years he had lived with no purpose, no hope, only hunger and silence now. Even with danger breathing down his neck, he felt something different. Alive, afraid, but alive. She stepped closer, though her legs shook. "Let me share it," she whispered. "Let me give you the bond. Not halfway, not hidden, but fully." Elias froze. His grip on the pipe tightened until his knuckles went white. "What happens if I accept?" he asked coldly. Her voice dropped low, like a prayer. "If you accept, you will never be alone. You will feel me as I feel you. You will carry my strength, and I will carry your pain. We will be one thread, unbroken, unending." Elias's chest tightened. He wanted to laugh, to curse, to refuse. But the fire in her eyes would not let him. It was not a trick, not a game. It was truth, raw and trembling. He shook his head quickly. "That sounds like slavery," he spat. "Like chains." Her eyes widened with sorrow. "No," she whispered. "That is what they turned it into. That is what my people were forced to give. But the bond was never meant for chains. It was meant for choice, for trust, for family." The word again, family. Elias's throat closed. His memories clawed at him. He saw faces lost long ago, heard voices silenced by war and fire. His grip on the pipe shook. Leora reached for him, her hand trembling as it hovered near his arm. "I cannot force you," she whispered. "The bond will break me if I try. But if you choose, if you accept, we can run further than they can chase. We can be more than prey." Elias stared at her hand. His heart thundered inside his chest. His mind screamed at him to walk away, to cut the tie before it dragged him deeper. But his soul, the part of him he thought long dead, stirred with her words. The sound of boots echoed closer. The soldiers' voices grew louder. They were sweeping the ruins step by step. The scanners. Hum returned. Sharp, steady, hunting. Leora's eyes filled with tears she refused to shed. "Elias," she whispered, "if we do not bind now, they will find us, and you will die beside me anyway. Let me give you what I have. Let me give you more than death." The pipe in Elias's hand felt suddenly heavy. His breath came ragged. He looked at her, trembling but unbroken, fragile yet fierce. In her eyes he saw the truth. She was offering not chains but choice. The footsteps grew closer, shadows, stretching across the tunnel entrance. Elias's chest burned with the weight of the moment. His voice broke as he whispered, "And if I say yes?" Leora's lips curved into the faintest smile. Her glowing markings flared brighter like stars awakening. "Then you will never walk alone again." The soldiers' voices shouted outside. The scanner hummed louder. Elias's pulse raced. He looked at the shadows, then back at her. In that single heartbeat he felt the thread between them pull tighter, waiting for his answer. And in the silence of the collapsing world around them, the offer returned. Sharper, brighter, impossible to ignore. The shadows of the soldiers stretched longer into the tunnel. The scanner's hum grew sharper. Elias felt the invisible thread between him and Leora tug with desperate strength. His chest burned with fear. but also with something else, an ache that was not his alone. He looked at her trembling form, her silver glow pulsing like a heartbeat, and he realized she was waiting for him. Her whisper echoed in his mind, "You will never walk alone again." Elias closed his eyes for a moment. His world had been nothing but silence, loss, and cold. Now, in this broken place, he was being asked to choose. Not survival, not escape, but connection. Something he had sworn never to risk again. The soldiers outside shouted. Their boots pounded against the stones. The hum of the scanner moved closer. Elias's time was gone. He opened his eyes and met hers. Her gaze was filled with fear but also hope. The kind of hope he thought no longer existed. "I accept," he whispered. His voice was rough, but it carried weight. Leora gasped softly. Her hand lifted and touched his arm. The moment her skin met his, the markings across her body flared bright. A surge of warmth spread into him, sharp and powerful. Elias staggered back against the wall. His heart raced as if it would break his chest. His vision swam with light. He felt her fear, her pain, her strength all pouring into him. At the same time she felt him. His scars, his grief, his buried rage. For the first time in years, Elias was not alone inside his own mind. A voice not his own whispered with his heartbeat. "We are one." The soldier's scanner beeped wildly. The glow from Leora's markings burst brighter. Spilling across the stones, the soldiers shouted, rushing toward the tunnel. Elias's body tensed, but he no longer felt weak. The bond had filled him with fire. His muscles felt alive. His fear sharpened into focus. "Move," he hissed. But his voice carried more strength now. He pulled Leora with him deeper into the tunnel. The scanner's light cut across the entrance as soldiers stormed inside. Their weapons raised, their armor clattering, Elias swung the pipe with new force. The strike cracked against the first soldier's helmet, sending him crashing to the ground. Leora's eyes burned bright, her markings flaring in rhythm with Elias's strikes. Every move he made felt guided, strengthened by her. Their breaths matched, their hearts beat as one. The tunnel filled with chaos. Soldiers shouted, shots fired, sparks rained across the stones. Elias dodged with speed he had never known. His arms steady, his strikes brutal. Leora pulled him when danger closed in, warning him before the blade could reach him. Together they moved like pieces of the same thread, unbroken. At last they broke through the far end of the tunnel, stumbling into the open fields beyond the ruins. The cold wind struck their faces, but Elias barely felt it. The bond burned inside him like a second heart. He glanced at Leora, who clung to his arm, her glow dimming now. Her strength poured into him, but it left her fragile. He caught her before she fell. His voice shook but carried fire. "I've got you." She looked up, her lips trembling. "You chose," she whispered. Her voice weak but filled with awe. "The bond is complete. We are family now." Elias's throat tightened at the word. Family. It had been buried in ash, locked away in pain, and yet here it was again, given not by blood but by choice. He tightened his arms around her. Behind them the soldiers regrouped, their voices carrying across the ruins. But Elias no longer felt only fear. For the first time since the world had fallen apart, he felt purpose. He turned his eyes toward the distant mountains, their peaks sharp against the stormy sky. "We head there," he said firmly. "We keep moving no matter what." Leora nodded weakly, her head resting against his shoulder. The glow of her markings steadied as her trust settled into him. The bond pulsed between them, alive, unbreakable. As they walked into the cold wind, Elias felt the weight of the world pressing down, but he also felt her warmth burning beside him. Her fear was his, her hope was his, and in return, his strength flowed into her, a shield she had never known. The hunt would not stop. The soldiers would come again, the journey to the mountains would be long, but Elias no longer carried his burden alone. One cup of tea had changed everything. One whispered offer had bound two broken souls into one, and as the storm gathered above them, Elias realized that for the first time in years, he was not just surviving. He was living with her, bound not by chains but by choice. A new family had been forged, not from blood, not from safety, but from fire, from whispers, from the bond of kindness, and nothing in the universe could take it away.